Chapter 31. Troublesome Home. Naruto was able to locate a home for the family relatively quickly. He was able to find a two-story home with a large backyard just outside the clan district. The bottom floor had all of their entertaining needs, a living area and dining area. A large kitchen and den, then a bathroom and hall closet. Upstairs there were 4 bedrooms. The master and 3 spares, then 3 bathrooms. One was attached to the master bedroom, then the others were shared between the other rooms. Naruto had moved them in quickly thanks to his shadow clone jutsu. Unfortunately, there were some issues about Makoto being an Uzumaki. Since she was an Uchiha by blood, the council wanted to give her to Sasuke, but Naruto saw some serious issues with this, something he told the council. Flashback. Naruto stood there in the council room while they tried to persuade him to cancel the adoption Makoto. The blonde Jinchuriki just cited, "I am not canceling the adoption of her, so if that is what this is all about, then I will just leave now." Shikaku spoke up first. As noble as the idea is, Naruto, the best person to adopt her would be her uncle, Sasuke Uchiha. Naruto shook his head. Sasuke may not be who he used to be, but he used to be fueled by the ideal of killing his brother and getting his revenge. This is his bastard child, so giving a direct blood relative of Itachi to Sasuke seems like the foolish idea. I am surprised you would suggest such a thing, Shikaku. The man just shrugged his shoulders. Uchiha are best at training Uchiha. Naruto shook his head, then Inoichi spoke up. I have to agree with Naruto on that subject. Though he seems to have repressed the need to kill Itachi. Now that Naruto has killed the man, there is the fear he could snap, since he can never achieve his revenge now. Tsunade looked over at Inoichi. Is that really a possibility now? You are the expert when it comes to someone's mind. The Yamanaka clan head nodded his head, then scratched his chin. Sasuke always had a fragile psyche, so I would say it is about a 80% chance of it happening, Tsunade-sama. The Gondime just shook her head, then looked at Inoichi. If that is the case, then I want you to start having weekly meetings with him to check on his mental condition. I want full reports. I don't need him trying to go AWOL again. Naruto nodded in agreement. Would prefer not having him do that as well. I don't want to go chasing after him again, since I have a family to worry about. Tsunade looked over at him. That is another thing we need to discuss. Do you plan to marry Tayayu before your daughter is born? The blonde man froze. Daughter. Her eyes widened as she realized what she had done. Naruto didn't know the sex of the baby yet. Naruto just stared at her. We are having a girl. Tsunade smiled at her son figure. Yes, I found out a couple days ago. Tayayu doesn't know yet, so don't tell her. Naruto nodded his head, then he left without their permission. He had better things to do. Naruto had just finished tucking Makoto into bed, then came in with Tayayu, who was stroking her stomach softly. The man stood there in the doorway with a small smile as he watched the scene. It was a rare moment when she showed her more compassionate side. She always tried to be the tough one that didn't have a compassionate side, but he knew it was there. Naruto just looked at her, then smiled some more. You know that Ba-chan told me what we are having, if you want me to tell you. Tayayu stopped rubbing her stomach and looked at her fiancé with a rose eyebrow. You know what we are having? He nodded his head before he climbed into the bed with her. Yup, would you like to know? She thought about that dream she once had about a family with him. Tayayu smirked as she looked at him. Fine, but I get to name the child since you found out the sex first. Naruto rose an eyebrow. That doesn't seem exactly fair. The redhead just shrugged. Get over it. Now what are we having? The man just sighed. He never wins, it seems. She said that we are having a girl. Tayuya's eyes went wide as she remembered her dream some more. They had a daughter in that dream as well. Carrie. Naruto looked at her. Carrie, huh? That is a nice name. Where did you come up with it, Tayayu-koi? The red-headed woman looks away from him with a small blush. None of your damn business. The man just sighed, then pulled her into his chest and kissed her forehead. He smiled as she snuggled into his side a bit. I like our new house, shithead-kun. For once you did a good job. The man just looked at her, then leaned in to whisper into her ear. I think I do good at plenty of things, ta. You, ya, koi. His red-headed goddess just snuggled into him some more with a purr. I think that you might need to prove it. You made me a promise that you have yet to follow through on. The blonde Jinchuriki just chuckled, then pinned her underneath him before he proved just how good he was at things. Chiyuya had a smile on her face as she rested her head on Naruto's chest. Naruto started to rub her side as he looked at her. Did I follow through with my promises, Koi? She nodded her head. So you did good at 2 things this week, don't get too big of an ego. Naruto chuckled, then held her closer. We are going to probably have an issue with the council when you're closer to delivery to Yuyakoi. The red-headed goddess looked up at him. Why exactly is that? Her fiancé just looked down at her. Well, I am already having an issue since I refused to let Sasuke raise Makoto. Besides the fact that I promised Itachi I would raise her, Sasuke has proven to be mentally challenged in certain aspects. There is also the fact that a lot of people don't care for me still, so they may not be happy that the demon is reproducing. Chiyuya had a ferocious look to her. They try to touch my baby, then I will gut them so fucking fast they will still be fucking alive when I wrap their intestine around their neck. Naruto blinked a couple times, and I am supposed to be the demon. Chiyuya punched him in the chest, making him smirk. Got to do better than that if you want to hurt me, babe. She smiled, then kissed him on the chest before kneeing him in the balls. Naruto groaned, then collapsed on his side as she smiled above him. What have I told you about being a smart ass? Naruto coughed as he cradled himself. I hope you didn't want more than 1 kid. The redhead rubbed his head. We already have 1 kid with 1 on the way. Her response was just a groan as she rubbed the side of his head. The man was more interested in making sure that he didn't just lose his most precious body part. Chiyuya kissed his neck, then wrapped her arms around him. You okay, Naruto-kun? I didn't hurt you too badly, did I? At first all she got was a groan, then he spoke. Crazy ass redhead. No more sex until recovered. He heard a growling in his ear, then she stopped. Chiyuya released him, then turned in the bed, making him look over at her. The man just stared at her for a moment before touching her bare back. Chiyuya-koi. She scooted away from him. Leave me alone, Naruto, don't touch me. He pulled his hand back and looked at her. Chiyuya-chan, what's wrong? Chiyuya didn't say anything to him, making him touch her side. I said don't. Naruto quickly pulled his hand back, then looked at her. Okay. He stood up out of the bed before putting on his boxers and sleeping pants. Naruto looked at her before he grabbed his pillow. Do you want me to leave? She didn't say anything to him, so he left the room to go to a spare room. Chiyuya looked over her shoulder at the door closing. Stupid idiot. I'm sorry. Naruto woke up in the room next to Makoto before dawn. He went downstairs to make everyone breakfast quietly. Makoto came out first, smelling the food. Morning to-san. He gave her a small smile. She had quickly taken to calling him to-san and Chiyuya-ka-san. He put her food on the plate, then kissed the top of her head. Morning, Makoto, did you sleep well? She nodded her head, then they heard Chiyuya coming down the stairs. Naruto quickly got her a plate and put it down before she got to the table and poured her some orange juice. He put it down as she sat down, then went back into the kitchen to clean everything up. Chiyuya looked over at Makoto, who was looking at her adoptive father funny. To-san, why aren't you eating with us? Naruto looked at her, then looked back at the dishes. I'm just not hungry is all, Makoto. I will get some later. That was enough to suffice the 6-year-old girl. Naruto just continued to wash the dishes, then when he was finished he got some water and went upstairs to the master bedroom so he could shower and change. Chiyuya heard the water turn on, then scooted out the chair to go talk to him. When she got there she took his towel and sat down at the mirror. After a couple more minutes Naruto turned off the shower and reached for his towel. When his hand only hit air he pulled back the shower curtain to see it was gone and Chiyuya was sitting there. Naruto just looked at her. May I please have my towel? She shook her head no, then she sighed. We need to talk, Naruto-kun. He nodded his head, then looked at her. Can we talk while I have my towel so I can stop freezing my ass off here? She tapped her chin. I think I prefer you this way though. Naruto sighed, then closed the curtain a bit and turned the hot water back on. So what is it that you wanted to talk about? Chiyuya pushed the curtain open a bit. Last night. He looked at her. Okay. His fiancé just looked at him. You slept in another room. The blonde Jinchuriki just rose his eyebrow. Isn't that what you wanted? I asked if you wanted me to leave and you didn't answer, so I left. The red-headed goddess just stared at him. I'm sorry I got mad, Naruto-kun. I guess I was upset you tried to cut off my sex again. Naruto rose his eyebrow at her again. I said no more sex until I recover. You need me in the balls, so I needed time to heal before you tried to jump my bones again. Usually 1 round is not enough for you. The woman blushed. Shut up. Naruto sighed. To you Yukoi. Your hormones are making you crazy. She glared at him, then threw his towel to the side as she started taking off her clothes. I'll show you crazy, Naruto-kun. The blonde just smiled as she motioned for her to come and get it. She quickly got into the shower with him and he did his best to make up for last night. When they were finished he held her as the water kept running down them. I love you to you Yukoi. The redhead smiled and leaned back to see him place his chin on her shoulder. I love you too, idiot. Now. About that second round. Naruto shook his head, then nodded his head and proceeded. To be continued.